All right, guys, welcome back to another interview on Unhinged. I'm joined by Nayem Hoque. How's it going?
Good. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much for asking. As I mentioned before, as we're on air, an absolute pleasure to be joined by you. Sorry, massive pleasure. So, thank you so much. I know it's fight week, and obviously you're very busy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. A big fight coming up on Machine MMA, a rematch. I'd love to. I can't wait to talk all about it. But first and foremost, as I talked about, another great fight on another fantastic show in Machine MMA, which have appeared on several times now. Now you are set to make your first appearance in 2023. How's the feeling, obviously, heading into the new year?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm the first fight for the gym as well, so I have to make a statement for that one.
Yeah, obviously it's obviously Ace MMA, fantastic year last year, and as you talked about, the first time to first appearance for the gym. So you have to start off on a good wave.
Yeah, 100%. I'll not disappoint.
And obviously, how's the feeling? Obviously, as I talked about, how's the feeling heading into the new year? As you know, it's a new year. A lot of people say new year, new me. So how is it feeling obviously heading into the new year?
Yeah, well, obviously I fought this guy before, and I feel like since then and into the new year, obviously I feel like I'm just a different fighter now, improved massively, and we'll see a whole different me next time.
The last fight, obviously K1 on the it was on Machine MMA, but it was on the kickboxing event, shall we say? But you was originally scheduled to face Konstantin Dikov in MMA, but eventually that fell out. But now you've got the rematch. A great fight for the last fight was a great fight for the fans, entertaining fight for the fans. What can you take away from that last bout with Logan, if anything?
But I feel like last time I wasn't myself in there. I feel like I'll just be. But to be fair, he is game and he's a good opponent, and I just feel like I'm just going to be different level this time. I feel like I'll let him get. It was closer than it should have been, and I feel like this time it won't be as close.
Yeah, Logan wanted the rematch. You accepted it, and ultimately, like I've said, the last fight was entertaining. But this time, it's a new fight, a different challenge for yourself. In this one, are you looking to maybe stamp your claim, stamp your mark, and maybe try and hunt for the finish and get that finish, and and realize that you are the better fighter?
Oh yeah. Every fight I go into, I do try finish, but like if the finish comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's an entertainment sport, isn't it? So I'm always looking for the finish.
Yeah, and when I obviously found out you were rematching Logan, I felt like it would not necessarily been easier, but it's an easier process for yourself leading up for it because obviously you prepared for him once and you kind of know what he's all about.
Yeah, true. Well, so the first time I fought him, I didn't see anything about him, so I didn't have a clue what he was like, what his style was. So this time I know a little bit more about him, so it does make it a bit easier.
And obviously, you can take a lot away from that first bout. Obviously, as you talked about, you fought him, and you've had that feeling of necessary, his strength and obviously his power.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a lot faster than him, more powerful than him, so I do feel like it'll be a good fight.
Yeah, I would like to know obviously what you took away from that first. I mean, obviously, you talked about as we talked about entertaining fight, good fight for the fans. But ultimately, is there anything in? Obviously, you talked about it was a game opponent, but was there anything in that first fight maybe not shocked you, but kind of surprised you that he brought to the table?
Yeah, he was game. That's the main thing that took me by surprise. I didn't think he'd like come forward as much as he did, but this time I'll be prepared for that.
Yeah, and obviously you talked about you'll come forward. So maybe in this fight, obviously you're expecting him to come forward. So maybe is there I don't want to obviously you to release it, but obviously is there a change in game plan, different game plan heading into this one?
Well, I've had a bit of a mindset switch this fight. I feel like I'm just coming in here to fight, and like I'm gonna be just as game as him, if not more game. You know what I mean? So I'll come in there to brawl with him and come to take him out.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic fight for the fans, and obviously fantastic fight for everyone. All your fans watching, all your family watching. I know Sammy will be in your corner probably, and he's screaming and shouting.
Yeah. I'm sure. I think he's going to be in my corner this fight. So I've got Shad in my corner and Sammy as well.
Yeah, but the big topic I had in this, obviously in this interview, was it was the first meeting. I think that was the huge thing that I had to take away from this. The first meeting, obviously how close it was, and now the rematch. But ultimately, what is going to be the difference between the first meeting and obviously now the second meeting?
As I said, like the first fight was like it's too close for my liking. I didn't like it how close it was and how controversial you could say it was. But this fight, I just want to make it clear, and I want to stamp that I'm the better fighter. And
yeah, absolutely. Do you think he only got this rematch because there is an argument there for being obviously close.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously I had that pull out, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I seen him. The opportunity came that I could fight him again. So I was like, you know what, I'll take it. You know, it's a rematch. It's a different experience. So I was like, if I can solidify myself with this rematch, then why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, as you talked about, it's a different experience for yourself. Probably the first experience that you
Yeah,
had in your career thus far, this young career of having a rematch. There's going to be plenty down the road for yourself
yeah.
if you carry
Hopefully,
on, but there is going to be plenty. So now you're going to get this out of the way. Is this more of like as we talked about already? Is this more of an experience, more of a lesson to tick off? Obviously, as your career begins.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, I want to be an amateur MMA fighter, but kickboxing's still a really good experience. I'm still young, so any experience I can get's good experience. So as much as I can fight, then I'm happy. You know.
Yeah, I'll talk quickly about that. You've had amateur MMA fights, and you had the kickboxing fight, but you had the amateur MMA fight debut first, and then you went over to kickboxing. What was the? I know you want to know in kickboxing, but what was like? Was there any difference when you stepped into that cage and you were just kickboxing? Was there something in the back of your mind was like, oh, I kind of want to take this guy down?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's the pace is different in a kickboxing fight. It's a lot more scrappy and just higher pace in MMA fights, especially with the bigger gloves on. So people are less hesitant with bigger gloves on. So yeah, the pace is a lot different in kickboxing fights.
And then obviously you mentioned you want to be an amateur MMA fighter. So do you prefer the pace of the MMA fight?
Yeah, yeah. I like the wrestling as well, wrestling and grappling. I like that grind. So, and you know, I do like the smaller gloves. It's feels nicer when you hit someone with the nice smaller gloves.
But I guess it doesn't feel as nice when you get hit back.
Yeah, true, true.
But ultimately, I want to ask you last question about the fight. It's a fantastic rematch. I'm really looking forward to it. I will be there in attendance.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I want to ask. It's a simple question, but how is Nayem going to get the win? We talked about it roughly. You want to stamp your game, get the finish, but ultimately, how are you going to get the win?
I feel like I'll stop him in the last round. I feel like my cardio is going to be better than him, and I'm going to be able to keep my power throughout. So I feel like I'll stop him in the third round.
Yeah, and obviously getting the win, going 2-0, would that be a huge confidence boost? Obviously, moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, I've had two back-to-back kickboxing camps now, so that'll translate in my MMA as well. My striking will be a lot cleaner in my MMA fights as well.
And then just quickly as well, after this one, straight back to MMA, hopefully anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll take any fight I can. All I want is experience, since I'm still young. So I'll take any fight I can, but hopefully MMA. Yeah.
Yeah, and I quickly want to talk about Ace MMA. We talked about it before we went on air. Fantastic gym that you're part of, Cage Warriors flyweight champions, Shaj, and obviously your brother Sammy, FCC champion as well. What's it like to be a part of that gym, and how hard do they push you?
Yeah, the push is really hard. Obviously, the level there's so high. So if you don't keep up, then you're just gonna fall behind, aren't you? So, and we've got so many gyms cross training now. We'll have a Friday night sparring. We'll have so many gyms. Like, say about 5 gyms, I think it is, that come to train, and like the level just is so high. You see, yeah, you got to keep up.
Yeah, and when you're seeing obviously Shaj and obviously your brother in that position, holding the championship belts in their respective promotions, do you
Yeah.
feel like maybe one day, obviously, hopefully you'll be there, and is that kind of a look up, that inspiration, that motivation that you want?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like I've always visioned myself being like them. You know what I mean? I can always see myself having a belt, and just every time I visualize a fight, I always see myself with my hand raised, and I feel like I can keep up with these guys in the gym. So when I'm older, it's just gonna be a new animal.
And I presume your big brother Sammy, he's not going to let you slack. He's going to make
Nah,
you go to the gym.
obviously Shad is my uncle as well, so he
Yeah.
doesn't let me slack either.
Yeah, I bet Shaj is one hard worker. I've seen him obviously train, obviously seen him fight. So
Yeah,
and obviously
yeah,
how many fights he's had in his career, and he's got that grit in him. Obviously, outside Cage Warriors, then came back to Cage Warriors, and obviously got that
yeah.
belt and that long-awaited title shot that he always should have had.
Yeah, I always feel like he's been UFC level for a while now, but he's just had to prove himself too many times. You know, I feel like people don't give him the respect he deserves. So
Agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And obviously, we talked about it before as well. You were in attendance for his last fight against Sam
yeah.
Creasy. First and foremost, firstly, what was that experience like?
Well, obviously, so I've seen how he warms up and stuff because I was backstage with him. So seeing how he switched on and what he does, like to like prepare himself. Obviously, gives me a boost as well for my fights. And then when I seen that KO, oh, it was different level. Obviously, being so close to the cage as well. It just happened in slow motion in front of me.
Yeah, what was the reaction like? Obviously, I presume it was fantastic. You were mental in the corner, but
Yeah.
immediately, what was the feeling? Obviously, when you got that knockout,
It was like a relief. He's done it. You know what I mean? He's a cage warrior champ now. He's a world champion. He's always wanted to be a world champion. Like he did it in good fashion, you know. So in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Come on, it has to be a UFC call now." And obviously, he was just in the cage. You could see he was emotional and stuff. So obviously, I was feeling a bit emotional as well. Obviously, it's such a big achievement. But yeah.
yeah, I absolutely agree. I feel like Shad should definitely had a called up by now. It's been a long way. He's been killing the game, and obviously, I feel like that Cage Warriors flyweight belt behind him is more of like a boost that he needed to get him recognized to the UFC. But yeah, a fantastic, obviously. And I presume you had a good night after that as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. Just all good vibes after that, isn't it?
What's that? Sorry.
It's just all good vibes after that.
Yeah, I presume it will be, but yeah, fantastic. Obviously, fantastic fight. Credit to Shaj. When I was speaking to him, he was saying that he felt sorry for his wife and all his kids because he was training so much.
Yeah, obviously. But I was in the gym as well whilst he was training, and like he is dedicated. Like he's in the gym 24/7. So I could imagine how obviously his wife and stuff felt when he's not around.
But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, thank you so much, Nayem. Been an absolute pleasure. I wish you the best of luck this weekend. Obviously, I hope you come back safe to your family as well. Obviously, it's a fantastic fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah,
it's a rematch. And obviously, it's going to be another one to tick off your bucket list. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.